Fun. Fun, fun, fun. Ta-da! Hi, Patrick here from Have Cheetah Will View, and here we are. We're saddling up for our doubleheader, and this is the nightcap. Earlier, we traveled to the United Kingdom to interview Darren James King, director, screenwriter Darren James King, on his career, including his brand new film April, which will be coming out on Bayview Entertainment sometime in 2022. And now we are back at our regular time spot to talk to producer, actress, voiceover actress, Alexis Iacono. Wow, what can I say? This is a treat. This is going to be a real treat. Alexis has done a lot, and she is very hardworking, and I'm blown away by her career. She is super cool young lady, and has done a lot of fun things in her life. And her dad, oh my gosh, anybody my age that grew up reading Sports Illustrated knows her dad really well. Hey, Waffles, Heroic Waffles in the house. New show coming up next year in January with him and Dan from Reject Films called Rejected Waffles. They'll be debuting in January. It's going to be a smashing stream. That will be a very, very strong stream. Waffles and Reject Films, they're always really good together. And they'll be there talking about all the boutique stuff. Hi, Katie. Welcome. And Katie's in the house. Katie just landed a celebrity interview. She's going to be interviewing Dennis Ballin on January 3rd. That's awesome. Congratulations on that, Katie. Yep, a lot of cool things. I think that, yeah, you guys going to smash it. So our guest today, Alexis, she stars in the new film Amityville Moon, but she's done a lot more besides that. Actually, I think she is very close friends to another friend of ours of the blog and of the channel, Brendan Slagle. I've noticed that she has worked a lot with Brandon, including producing Escape to Ensenada and starring in the Black Dahlia Haunting. So that will be interesting to talk to her about that. And we will be talking to her about her voiceover acting. She does a lot of the World of Warcraft video games, along with Grand Theft Auto. Her voice is very much in demand. While she won't be able to talk about it, she did land a new hot project, a video game project. So that's going to be coming up for her early next year, somewhere down the line. But yeah, that's going to be fun. And she's a producer. She has she's going to be producing some films, and also I do believe it's going to be a documentary. I think maybe not. I thought it was, but there's going to be some new horror films coming out. Her dad will even get into the action, as he worked on one of her films called The Pipeline, which we will talk to her about that as well. Yeah, it's gonna be cool, man. I'm happy for you, Katie. I'm happy for you. I thought that would be perfect for you. With Valencia and Angela, the twins from Daddy We're Back. Great interview. It's really cool because they answer each other's sentences. It's weird. It's weird, but cool at the same time. As always, go ahead and hit the thumbs up, and don't forget to share us out if you can. That'll be awesome. And while I got a few minutes, I will go over some of the calendar. Wow. So tomorrow, wow, we're almost done with this year. I can't believe this year has gone by so freaking fast. Real fast. Tomorrow night, we will be inviting Knight from the Night Watch Zone, and he'll be here for a discussion. Looking forward to that very much. We'll figure out where Knight got his love for horror films. We'll talk about The Shining. We'll talk about Lamb. I don't know if we'll talk about Lamb. I'm just throwing that out there. But will we talk about the ISC Midnight Nights? He's a big ISC fan, unlike Rejected Waffles, who's not. So I don't. Did I push you guys just now? I gotta take that back. I gotta take that back until you guys do an ISC film, Waffles. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay. Next Monday or next Tuesday, we're only gonna do one show next week, Christmas week. We only got one show down on the 21st, and we're gonna do a kaiju roundtable. That's right. We're gonna invite a bunch of our friends. Come on in. We're gonna all go up and have a fun panel talk about all thing monsters, and maybe something new will come up in 2022, or maybe there'll be some new creature features on the way. We look forward to that. We want there to be new creature features. We want there to be some news on King Kong. It would be great if they could somehow manage to put Gamera in the Godzilla verse. That would be cool if they could do that, the MonsterVerse. But we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be very interesting. So we only got the one show, but then we're back on the 28th of December for our last week of the year, and we have our first film composer in. Our film composer as a guest, and that will be introducing Mariano Solino. He'll be here at 8 p.m. He'll be talking about what it takes to score a film and why a musical score can make or break a film, which is absolutely positively true. I've seen a lot of good films with really weak scores, pushes them down, and I've seen some outstanding movies get elevated with a good score. Like It Follows. It Follows is a prime example of what a good score can do for a movie. On the 29th of December, we welcome in Sonia Richards. Actress Sonia Richards will be here. And the last show of the year of 2021 will be my friend Natalie Fajitas. She is a DJ, and she is also a former talent buyer. The club I used to work at, called Marsugi's, had a great reputation for finding bands and getting bands to play the room that had no business playing there, because it was so small. And Natalie Frias is the person who set that up. She was the first talent buyer there, and she did an outstanding job, including a lot of bands that had no business playing there, but they did. And she'll be here to talk about that. So that takes care of December. And then I'll read you the first week of January. We welcome in our old friend Mike Ferguson will be back for the first show of the year. The first show of the year, Mike Ferguson will be back, and he has a new film that's coming out called The Amityville Uprising. We're going to be talking about the Amityville Moon today with Alexis, and then with Mike, we'll be talking about the third film of the series called Amityville Uprising. It's a series of 6 films that Thomas Churchill is writing, directing, producing. And that is the third of the 6. Let's see. And then we're inviting our good friend Anthony from Fever Dreamland Theater. He'll be here on the 5th, and we will be talking a lot of Twilight Zone, probably. A lot of Twilight Zone, a lot of Outer Limits, anthology, because those are great shows that don't get enough love. We'll talk about the new Twilight Zone that came out that Jordan Peele did, and we'll get his thoughts on that. Next up, on the 6th of January, we have actress producer Eileen Huntington will be here. Eileen Huntington. Who is Eileen Huntington? Well, she is only one of the stars of one of the best bad shark movies ever, Shark Exorcist. That's right, Shark Exorcist. And Eileen's going to be coming over here and talking about her career, including the infamous Shark Exorcist movie. Okay. And then on the 11th of January, we are proud to present our Jennifer Blanc Bien will be here. Jennifer is a fine actress in her own right. You might know her as she is the wife of actor Michael Biehn, who is a fanboy immortal. He's done Terminator. He did Tombstone. And Jennifer has done many things as well, including the Everly for Joe Lynch, and which stars Selma Hayek. And then on the 12th, we have another old friend coming back for a visit, and that's actor Timothy Cox will be back here on the 12th. And then rescheduled a date with actress Sherry Davis on the 13th, and rescheduled date with Rachel Ferguson on the 14th. Oh, yeah, and Waffles will be here. Waffles will be here on the 19th of January. That's right. And we'll be talking about Rejected Waffle Show. By that time, I think the show should be up and running, I think. And so it'll be a good chance to talk to Michael and talk about the show. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And that's it for right now. I got other things coming up. Hopefully by next week, I'll have some confirmation on 2 shows that I've been trying to get a hold of. Hopefully that'll happen. All right. So Alexis Iacono will be here shortly, in a couple of minutes. Please share us out if you can. I want to say everybody that came out to and supported the show yesterday with Mick Gray, thank you so much. That was a very fun show last night. I had a blast. I had a real blast. It was cool talking to Mick, and it was really cool talking to Darren James King today. If you watch the replay, it's a little glitchy, but don't let that bother you. It's not that bad, and you can always just listen to the show as a podcast. I tell folks that all the time. It's like I don't suspect anybody's going to sit here and watch the show per se for replay, and you could also use it as a podcast. You could just turn us on, put us on the shelf, and let us go. We also have a playlist that I put in every interview. So if you like what you hear, you could give us a sub, leave a comment, and then go ahead and grab the playlist. I put it in the description box of every interview, and you could just hit the playlist and let it run, and it'd be like listening to a podcast. Yeah, I know that Amityville Moon, which we'll be talking, one of the many films we'll be talking about. I've noticed that there's just an overwhelming surge of Amityville movies, and I'm blaming Coup-Duder on that. Sean C. Phillips, he seems to have taken over the mantle of Dustin Ferguson when it comes down to directing Amityville quickies. I don't know how bad they are. Notice how I said bad, because I don't expect them to be very good. Come on, really? Coup-Duder here. And they seem to come in one after another, which means it's the Dustin Ferguson type of filming. It's very fast, very cheap, and with no script, very minimum script, no money. It's just churning out product just to churn it out and treading on the Amityville name. Whereas some directors like Thomas Churchill and Brenda Slagle, yes, they may use the word Amityville, but they do their best to provide a good story with it. The story, the Amityville Harvest was actually a very pleasant surprise. It was pretty good, well casted and exciting. A little bumpy. I won't deny you that. It's a little bumpy, but definitely worth your time. And then the Amityville Moon is this follow-up to Amityville Harvest. I mean, it's a brand new story, but it's underneath the umbrella that Thomas has created. So that'll be fun. Um, then Amityville Uprising, I have no idea what that is. I don't know if that's going to be a feature. I don't know if that's going to be a suspense or neo noir. It's going to be interesting to see what Thomas comes together with. Speaking of neo noir, um, the film Nightmare Alley is coming out. It is a remake of a 1947 film that starred Tyrone Power, and the remake is going to be with Bradley Cooper and Kate Blanchett and Toni Collette, and it's coming out. And it's getting a lot of praise. It's getting a lot of praise for the way that Guillermo del Toro filmed it. It looks to be a trip. It looks to be a very interesting movie. Um, and since it's called a neo noir, you already know it's just like found footage films. When someone says it's a found footage film, but you already know that the ending's not going to be very perky. And noir movies are known for that as well. They're known for very downer endings, very deep, dark endings. There's not a lot of sunshine there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Nightmare Alley turns. Um, Bradley Cooper's he's not new to the genre. I mean, you could almost say that the Midnight Meat Train it sort of has a noirish ending. So I think that's probably that. I'm actually pretty excited for that movie. I think that movie's gonna be a really interesting one. But of course, the movie I'm waiting for will be Cyrano. Cyrano's coming out on January 14th, and that is the movie that is going to get me up and at it and into the theater again. Um, I know a lot of people says not Spider-Man. No, not Spider-Man. Spider-Man was not going to get me inside the theater, but Cyrano is. Um, that'll be a lot of fun. All right. Uh, I think a lot of people are out and about. I know some people got live streams going already. Um, yeah, so we will be getting started our own self here shortly. Um, yep, a lot of preview, a lot of oh, the werewolf did go out up at 8 o'clock. I owe Eric an apology. I thought he was going up at 9:30, but he is actually going up at 8. Uh, I will look over tell you some of the other things that Alexis has done. Uh, I was really interesting. It was really interesting. Oh, like she said, like she's also done an IFC movie, which was really cool, which we're going to be talking about too. She also appeared in Blue Caprice, which I just got. I just got that movie. I just bought it. I have not watched it yet, but I bought it for the collection. So I'm oh, thank you, Katie. Yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know what it. I don't know if we're gonna be competing with a lot of streams that are going on right now. Plus, Christmas. I suspected it was gonna be pretty pretty hectic out there. Everybody wants to. Everybody's just yeah. It's Christmas time. Everybody's out there running around. Um, so I might do a stream next Wednesday, and I might do that to do my top 20 films or top 10 films and bottom 10 films. I think I'm probably going to do that for a live stream. I don't know. It won't be underneath the 8 questions with banner, but I might do it anyway just to talk about the films that I watched this year. Did not watch a lot of films actually, considering I've only watched at this point 107. which is not very much compared to most people I know. I know some people watch between 1 and 2 a day. And yeah, even if you watch one a day, it's still 365 films. And I've done 107. I will be watching and reviewing a Dollar Tree Theater film today. Um, so I don't know what I'm going to watch. It will be very interesting. Oh, oh my God, did I do that again? I might have. I think I shot myself in the foot here. I don't know why or how I do that. Uh, our guest will be up here shortly. I inadvertently I told her here's the link, and then I forgot to send it to her. That's me. That's me. All right. How did I get here? Well, I'm lost in space. What can I say? Uh, so yeah, I'm surprised she did not blow me up in there. Like, okay, you said where's the link at? So where is it? It's what happens when you juggle too many things at once. One people tend to get a little bit lost, like myself. I could have sworn I sent it to her, and just a brain toot. Uh, that's as funny as hell. That's she's probably sitting over there going like, "All right, dude, where the hell's the link at?" So, uh, that's what happens when you hurry up and wait, right? Um, yeah, I saw your review for the Mad Hatter. Um, that's I'm gonna have to. I don't know if that got a home release. I'll have to keep that in the back of my head. As when you know it, I bet you that probably got a bad. I bet you that movie got a home release, whereas Christie did not. And I'm still flabbergasted at that. Um, I still am. I'm totally flabbergasted how a movie like that from the Weinstein Corporation did not get a release over here. Hi, Michelle. And Michelle, I'm with Corinne. I think you should do a monetization show. I think you should. You should do that. I know you said you weren't going to do that, but I was watching that, which I couldn't believe. Actually, I couldn't believe I was sitting there watching Corinne's live stream and you weren't up. I'm like, I don't know who this Moss guy is, but where's Michelle? Michelle's supposed to be up there. Um, But I get it though. If you don't want to do it, I don't know why people want to do that anyway. Look at me. I got monetized. I get it. I get the privacy part about it. You know, just it's sort of like it could come across a little bit like oh, at your parents' house. Okay. Oh, right. Okay. So you're gonna check on them and then go home, or but I do get it if you didn't want to do the monetization stream. I get that. I mean, I'm just hoping to get to 500. I just want the community tab. Oh, right. Now, did you get all your Christmas shopping done? Hopefully so. What's your you would be disappointed if only 15 people came to your stream? 15 people's a lot. Oh, okay. 15 people would be a lot. Gift cards are fine. Gift cards are a good thing. Katie still has to go Christmas shopping. Um, the cheetah likes temptation cat treats, turkey treats. In case you're just wondering, I'm not sure if you guys were, but if you're inclined to send the cheetah anything, he likes temptation turkey. Somebody actually came by my house this week, and they left me a big box of food, um, canned foods and stuff. It was my neighbor down the street. She came by and dropped off a whole box of canned foods for me. I thought that was very sweet. Yeah, that's what happens to me here, Michelle. Yeah, when I do the live stream here, it's not really all that perky. But after the stream is over with, that's where everybody comes in. Yeah, that was very nice of her. She knows I'm on a widower's budget, so that was very nice. In fact, I had a can of chicken I made chicken sandwiches for myself out of the box. Groceries were expensive. Food's expensive, crazy expensive. And that didn't take long for that to show up. Hey, hi Casey, how are you? Yeah, food's really expensive. Our guest will be here shortly. I was a little late with the link, but she should get it now and come up and say hi. I forgot to send it to her, so it's like this is all my fault. That's why we're talking right now. Those who have community tabs, if you guys don't mind sharing us out, that would be awesome. And I will continue to be jealous of you guys with community tabs because I'm still 24 away. I have been stuck in the 470s mark since forever. I don't know what that is. I'm just stuck. Um, I can't get out of it. I'm in a rut. Yeah, check on Corinne. If we don't see you again, we know that you went up. Oh my God. I hope Tiffany shows up. Tiffany will make it. She should make an appearance here. Tell us how her wolf is doing. Her tattoo. Um, so here's a question for you guys while we're waiting for our guest Alexis to come up. What is your favorite Amityville movie? What is your what's your what Amityville movie is your favorite? Was it Thank you so much, Michelle. Was it the original Amityville with James Brolin and Margot Kidder, or how the remake with Ryan Reynolds? Uh, or was it any one of the knockoffs since then? What's been one of your Amityville movies? Mine, um, I have to be honest with you. The one I really liked a lot was The Unspoken. I thought that was really well done. As far as the ones with the name on it, Amityville Harvest was a lot of fun. Um, I also enjoyed The Dawn, that was written and directed by Brandon Slagle. That was very interesting. Um, oh, okay, Casey, thank you. I understand. Work is work. Yeah, I hope so too, Casey. I don't know where everybody's at. I got to figure this out. Hi, Mark the Shark. How are you, sir? Aloha. We are waiting for our guest. Alexis will be here shortly. I got to make sure she's okay. We're running a little bit late. I was supposed to send her. I was supposed to send her my link, and totally had a brain fart, and I didn't. And so I'm not sure what's going on. Hopefully she got it, so she should be here momentarily. Just had a it's just really really busy today, and yep, but she should be here. Um, our guest is Alexis Iacono. She is an actress and producer and a voice actor as well. She has done a lot of projects, uh, including Blue Caprice, which is an IFC film, which I really enjoyed. Um, uh, uh, as far as it being a very scary movie, actually, she's also done several films with Brenda Slagle, who I just mentioned, who did the Dawn. She's a producer. She produced Escape to Ensenada. She's acted in Dead Sea, and she's also acted in uh, uh, the Amityville Moon, which just came out last month, actually a couple months ago. So it's gonna be a fun night. I hope. I hope I didn't blow it. Hmm. Did I not send it? I did. Wow, I just really yeah. I We did earlier. We did a show with Darren James King, who's got a new film called April. We talked to him over in the UK. We had a great discussion about that, about his film and his career, and he's going to be a really good director. I'm excited to see what he does next. Um, he's not going to be. He's going to be a really. He's going to be a thinking man's director for sure. If you want a good drama, he's going to be here. He's going to be here. He's going to be dropping some good movies in the future. Um, our Lexis, our guest today, she's also got some. She's also a producer, like I mentioned. She's got several films that are getting in line to be dropped, uh, um, and she's producing. She's producing right now. She's got Wikiva Falls in post production. She has the Pipeline, and that's also in post production. Reserved, which is a short film, that's now in post production. And Open House, associate producer in post production. These are all what they mean by that is and laying the pipe, which is a documentary, and she is producing that as well. Post production means that the principal filming is all done. The movie is all filmed and is passed on over to editing and scoring, music scoring, and pickups of maybe of dialogue being added in, ADR work or whatnot. So generally that takes a few months to do that. It depends on what it is. Short film will take a little bit a shorter time to do that. But feature films and documentaries, they take a little longer. Okay, I don't know. I'm okay. I haven't looked. I oh, that's hold on. There she is. Ta-da! I had a brain fart.
Sorry, I think that was my fault. I didn't enter the studio. I was just waiting.
Oh no, well, you know what? I had a brain fart too because I didn't realize that I said I sent you the link and then I forgot to send the link.
No, that's okay. We're good. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good. I have crazy rooster hair. Pardon me.
I love your hair.
Thank you.
I do. My wife has hair. She used to wear her hair shorter, but she had that real thick hair too. And it was like she used to love it. Like I used to run my hands through her hair. She loved that actually. She really loved that. It was always except after she had her hair cut. It was the only time I could not do that, which
Right.
means, but right afterwards, after she got a cut, it was just so fresh and so it smelled so pretty that you just wanted to run your hands through it anyway. So, so it's like how that is. You tell kids you can have anything you want, but that, and the
Right.
first thing the kid wants is that. So, how are you today?
I'm good. Just it's because I'm in East Coast until holiday, and it's very interesting because it gets dark really early here. So I'm tired by 6 o'clock, and it's completely a different lifestyle, obviously, in LA, and where it's like lighter, longer, so to speak. But yeah, I'm happy to be back for a little bit, but I am itching to get back to West Coast.
Yeah, I mean, how's the weather in New York? Is it really really cold right now? It's actually
A
pretty
few days
mild
ago
here.
was it goes back and forth. So today was in the 50s.
Yeah.
and Hawaii, there's snow, so that makes sense. And but a few days ago it was super cold. It goes back and forth, like, and it's just, you just don't know from one day to the next, because the rest of the week is supposed to be warm, but then it drops at night, and it's super cold.
I'm looking at my calendar. I'm looking at my thermometer right now, and it's actually saying it's 57 degrees here
Yep.
in Michigan at
Yep.
at 8:30.
Yep.
That's almost like summer weather, late spring, early summer.
Yeah.
I'm just, but you know what? That's been it for here in Michigan. We don't get our winter at all until middle of January. We don't get any snow at all until middle of January. It used to snow in December,
Right.
but climate change and whatnot. That's one of the things that you can actually physically see, is that we don't get snow anymore in December.
Well, the earth is changing. It's Mother Nature wants to do what it wants to do. Like, tornado is a perfect example. That horrific tornado that blew through those states. I've been following that, and it's what a nightmare, what a tragedy, especially 2 weeks before Christmas. But you just never know. It's like, even with LA, with earthquakes, it's everything else. Mother Nature, if it wants to blow, it blows.
Yeah, I lived in LA myself for my first 36 years. I lived in California I'm a native Californian.
Right.
And it's funny. It's like I survived the '89 earthquake. That was a lot of fun. And several, there's several other earthquakes, whatnot. But ever since in Michigan, I've only had one encounter where we had a serious tornado. It was a warning, and the supercell went right over our house. It was,
oh wow,
the tornadoes were touching down, but they, it was like they touch down and pick up, to touch down and pick up, and then and we, it was like one time I literally put my wife in the bathtub. I put her in the bathtub with a pillow and a blanket, and I laid on top of her, because I was like, I don't, we were really terrified. I was sitting there going, but that's the only time, and since I've been here, that's the worst it's ever been. Most of the time we get a lot of torrential rain. Sometimes we've had snowstorms of like up to 12 inches or so, but that's what you expect, but not tornadoes in December. Not like that. You're right. I mean, that's very unusual.
Yeah. I see you're a Met fan.
Okay, so here's the story about this. I am a Yankees fan. I've been a Yankees fan all my life.
So am I. I'm from Queens, but I'm a Yankee fan.
Yeah, me too. But honestly, don't you wish they'd fire Aaron Boone already?
Please.
See? Oh my gosh. You're my type of girl. That's for sure. My wife, Lori, her uncle played for the Detroit Tigers. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer. Charlie Gehringer. And so we go out to the Tiger games a couple of times a year.
Interesting.
But this Mets cap, I have friends of mine who are Met fans, right? I feel sorry for them. I do. I feel sorry for them, because the Mets suck. They're a AAA team in a New York market.
I know. I really want to like them. And I've covered their games with my father and assisted. And I mean, every game, I mean, it doesn't matter what team, like when you're in a stadium, it's just so, the vibe is so amazing. Especially, in the dugout. It's just this fabulous feeling. But Mets, like they do really great for a few innings, and then all of a sudden it's like,
no, they're the Mets.
What happened?
My buddy Will, he's been a fan. Him and I, we've been fans for, we've been talking. We've been friends for many years.
Yeah.
And every year I keep on putting the hashtag Subway Series, because we've only had one of those in 2000. Yeah. And we could have had two, except that Willie Randolph managed to blow a 7.5 game lead with only like 10 games to go.
Right.
Remember the giant collapse? They were up like 7.5 games, and they had 10 games to go, and they lost them all. They lost. They lost. The damn that was like the biggest. It was almost like the Red Sox were in their dugout. Like I tell my brother all the time. It says, every team that gets in front of you, I don't care about. I mean, don't like when the Red Sox are in first place, I never panic because the Red Sox are always going to find a way to choke it off.
Right.
Now Tampa Bay or Toronto, yeah, okay.
Right.
Now, were you a big a sports fan growing up, Alexis? I mean, because of your dad.
Well, I mean, I was born into it. I breathed 8 sports growing up because of my father's background.
Your father, John, like I was mentioning, anybody my age, that's dating myself a little bit, but we grew up with Sports Illustrated. We knew 2 things. We knew your father, and we knew Walter Ios. Every year. I mean, every magazine you got, that's what you saw. You saw the byline, the credit, photographed by John Iacono, photographed by Walter Ios. Now that must have been just like, how old were you when you actually became aware of who your dad really was?
Quite young, because my father, when I was, 10 and 12, and that golden era of when you're a child, it's like a sponge at that time. When you're 10, you're aware of everything. He was winning a bunch of awards, and I would be going to major dinner parties, and sitting next to Mike Tyson and, Derek Jeter and, all these cool cats. I was introduced to a lot of cool people. I mean, not 10 and 12, but like from that age up.
Right.
It was just like I said, the golden years. It was just my father just covered a lot of sports, and we went to a lot of galas and parties. My mother, my mom and I, I'm an only child, so I had such a very interesting and colorful life at a very young age. I got to travel the world quite a bit, and I got to experience many different things because of my father's line of work. My father covered the best sporting events in the world with, Neil Leifer and Walter Yost and all these cats that my dad knew and I grew up with, and they saw me born. It's very interesting because my father never carried himself aloof. My father is from the Lower East Side of Manhattan. So as much as he was very creative, he was street. He was very real. And he taught me some lessons, like I grew up Bayside, Queens, and he always said, you're always good into your next take. There was just this one time when I was a young girl, and he wound up getting the cover, one of many. And the phone was, I'll never forget. I was living in Port Washington, Long Island at the time, and the phone was ringing off the hook. And my dad wound up getting the cover, and he sat me down, and he says, and he literally just says, I want you to listen. And I said, okay. And the phone all day from like 10 in the morning till 6 at night. And then 6 at night came around, and he says, what do you hear? And I said, nothing. He said, you don't hear the phone ring anymore, do you? And I said, no. He's like, because I'm good until my next take. Because next day, his cover means shit.
Yeah.
They're already focusing on the next. Not that, I don't mean that in a negative light, but
no.
On to the next.
Yeah.
And that always stayed with me. Even though I always saw my father as a successful man, he was always very creative, and he was dad. But because of his line of work, I wound up experiencing a very different life at a very young age.
But I guess one of the most important things you got from your father, though, uh, besides that experience, but probably the real thing you got out of it was probably the work. You saw how hard your dad worked, and he worked very hard. And I'm sure you applied that when you started studying acting and hitting the stage for the first time and landing roles. And I mean, you came to work prepared. Basically, to coin a sports phrase, you packed your lunchbox. You know, you brought it with you every job you got. And I'm sure your dad instilled that in you by his example.
Yes, I have to say, I know we're live. You're a little low.
Okay, let me see.
Yeah,
There, is that better?
a little.
Okay,
Maybe a little bit louder. I'm sorry.
that's okay. Normally people say I'm too loud.
No, no, it's quite low. That's why, I mean, I hear you, but it's low.
Okay, let me go out and come back in just in case. Sometimes
Okay.
that happens. Yeah, sometimes what will happen is it didn't happen here, but sometimes when the phone rings into my phone,
Yeah.
sometimes what happens is it knocks down my sound. But normally, no, it doesn't. It's pretty loud actually. People say it's loud. You hear me
No,
okay now?
it's low tonight. It's low tonight. So if you hear me do that, like I'm just trying to listen, but that's okay.
No problem. I'll speak a little louder.
Great. Thank you.
Uh, so I mean, how old were you when you decided that you wanted to get into acting? I mean, what led you down that road? I mean, that's pretty random, right? I mean, were you encouraged to do it, or was there any one particular moment?
Well, my first commercial, I was 10 months old. I landed a national by mistake. um, when I lived in Bayside, Queens, there was a manager that lived across the street, and I was actually one of the original Purina Rolston cereal commercial little babies. I portrayed at the time an American Indian in the Papoose, and that was like a national, that was a huge commercial. Um, but then, my parents were not stage parents. So cut 2 years later, um, I, I, wound up, having a major crush on John Cassavetes. And, that was a time where I was, developing the love for, I mean, I always loved film. And so I asked my mom, I said, I'd like to get into acting. And, it was never one class, it was two classes, not one tap class, it was two tap classes. And it was all me. It wasn't my mother, and sometimes I felt bad for my mom because people assumed that, she could be a stage mom because that's what every mother has a rap for. And it wasn't the case. I really I mean, that was my personality. But I started really theater because of many things, of movies like A Soldier Story, John Cassavetes, and I actually spotted John Cassavetes on the plane because of my father's line of work. I was visiting my father. We were flying to London because he was covering a game in Scotland, golf, and he said, "Why don't you guys fly over and meet me, and we'll." Like any normal day, just hop in a plane and let's, hang out in London. So, but basically we were like, okay, great. And lo and behold, I spotted John Cassavetes, and my mom, I said, Mom, John Cassavetes is on the plane. And she's like, Alexis, you need to stop with the obsession with John Cassavetes. And I'm like, no, he's on the plane. And I made eye contact with this man, and my mom's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I'm going to say hello. And I waited until he took off, and I waited a little bit. I walked right up to him. He was a curmudgeon, which is about right. And he had his legs crossed. He was in the aisle seat, and he was sort of like and he saw me stare at him, and he's like, why is this little girl checking me out? And I went right up to him and I said, "Hi, Mr. Cassavetes. I just want to know that I love your work." And he started laughing because his work is not comedy. They're like super deep, movies. And he looks over to this blonde chick, and it was Jenna Rollins. And he said, "Oh, really? Really? What movies do you like?" I'm like, "Well, The Tempest is on HBO, but I really love Rosemary's Baby."
Oh,
And he just like, and we had this moment, and I just went back to my seat, and it's things like that. There's no coincidences. It's moments like that that a lot of people don't know the reason why I'm in this field, because majority of it, besides growing up in a very different world, John Cassavetes had a strong influence because of that.
sure. I think, I ask that question quite a bit. I always sit there and say, was there any one particular person or one particular moment, that, because it's not like it's not like you just are reading a book and all of a sudden you put it down and you realize you think that, oh, I'm going to become an actor today.
Right.
Though I have heard of a story where, there's an actress that did that. She looked in the back of a casting book, a casting website. She called up a number. They were looking for auditions, and she literally drove down there, auditioned, and got her part.
Yep.
But that's like one in 1,000 stories. That's
Yep.
not really how it works. Generally, it's always someone, like yourself, is influenced.
Right.
Um,
Well, and it goes right into, my and pretty much my breakthrough, which is very similar to that story, so to speak. At the time I was a young girl. I was 11 years old, and I was attending HB Studios, and it was acting class in the west lower part of Manhattan, and I loved it. And Trudy Stabell was my acting coach, and I wound up doing this improv for 12-year-olds at the time. And after class, she came up to me, and she was honest. She was like, "Look, this is very unconventional. Teachers usually don't talk to students or want to talk to the parents, but she's like, I might have something for you." And I'm like, "Okay." Like, I didn't know what was going on. Next thing I know, I'm auditioning for a play, and I was auditioning for the director, Robert Crest, and it was in Chelsea, and it was called The Meadowlark. And it was the life story, the growing ups of Fay Wray. And for those who are listening that don't know who Fay Wray is, Fay Wray was the screaming woman of King Kong, the original Scream Queen. And I had to leave school for about 2 months, about a month or month and a half. And I was in Pennsylvania, in Warren, Pennsylvania, in this beautiful, beautiful opera house. Gold leaf, like one, I mean, stunning. And it was first day on set, first day on stage. And there I am. I'm in the middle of this, in the theater, and I see this dot walking down this lustrous aisle, and it was Faye.
oh
And
wow.
she and Robert Crest, they were my director for the show. And Faye and I wound up. I played Faye. I played Faye as a young girl, and we bonded. We bonded very closely, and we exchanged letters. Now I'm dating myself. Letters, and we knew each other up until her death. And if you want to know more about it, I'm in a documentary. Frank Dietz directed it. Peter Jackson's in it. Joe Dante, the director of Gremlins, is in it. I mean, a lot of cool cats is in this documentary. It's on Amazon Prime if you want to check it out. It's called Long Live the King. And I had the opportunity to discuss my life with Faye.
That would have been really neat. Yeah, I mean, she really was. When you think of you think of the character, think of King Kong. Honestly, that's what first thing you think of is Fay Wray.
Yeah.
At least I do, anyway. I mean, I like Peter Jackson's version of the film, but I always think Fay Wray is definitely,
Oh, well, you just can't beat it. It doesn't. I mean, Peter Jackson did a fabulous job. But there's
It's
nothing like the
original.
1930s, those films. You just, even if they're a bit hokey, they're I mean, they're great.
I love older films.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love those horror movies. I'm not, we'll get into that. But I'm not really a horror person. Horror seems to know a lot about me. It's more classic for me.
yeah, as far as classic horror or classic films.
Well, both, but
Okay.
classic horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you watch the Universal monsters. I mean, they're all classic. They're all iconic. And how that you think about today, and it's like there is no today without yesterday. Without
Well,
yesterday, there's no today as far as those things go.
right. Well, it's people should, especially today's generation, they should be that should be their mantra.
Yeah, what though? I read this. I read this in a trade that the average millennial considers a film to be old if it's been released for 15 years
Well, I
or
was
less.
going to say 1990s, because if you travel on a plane, it'll give you categories of like all different kinds of genres, and then it will say oldies. So I got excited. So I was like, "Oh, cool. I'm going to see a Jack Lemmon movie." It was Snakes on a Plane.
Jeez.
That was an
Yeah.
oldie.
Yeah. Isn't that
Like
something?
Anaconda was old, and I'm like scrolling, and I'm still naive. I'm like, Walter Matthau, Jack Lemmon, John Cougar film. Where are you? Where are you?
No.
Hitchcock. And it's like, oh, Lethal Weapon. And I
Yeah.
love Mel Gibson and Lethal Weapon, but they're not oldies.
No. Well, what though? Yeah, you would think so, but
Right.
it's like radio. Like I turn on radio, that I have a classic rock station,
Yeah.
and then I'm hearing bands that I know. Here's a classic from Weezer. Well, say
Right.
what? No doubt. Remember this one? Wait a minute. Remember it? It wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was so weird because back when I was that age, when I was 15, they put on the oldies, and you listen to like sitting on the dock of the bay, it's old as Redding, old Johnny Cash, or
Yeah.
but now
No.
now we're that now the music we listen to is now the oldies. It's so weird. Now I'm dating myself, so um, yeah, that's interesting. Uh, so you played Faye Ray, and you had a deep friendship with her. What was she like?
She was, well, she's very elegant. And because she's from opulent old Hollywood, you know, she was, the it girl. I mean, when she was younger, but she married Riskin, and he was a very well known producer with Frank Capra, Robert Riskin. She married Riskin, and I actually played my mother in the show was Susan Riskin, which was Robert's daughter. So I got to mingle with the Riskins and the whole family. And she had a very, I mean, she was known to throw lavish Hollywood parties. I mean, she was that woman. She was known for movies, but she was known for Hollywood glamour. That I believe we still have it, but it's not like then. But
No.
she was wonderful. But she was very, I mean, her dress, her wardrobe, her jewelry, the way she carried herself was stage. But her and I, we broed out. We were great, and she was normal. I get this question a lot, and I sometimes feel guilty because I kind of want to tell people like, oh, she gave me this great advice and all this, and she really didn't. We just bonded.
Yeah, you're just people.
We just bonded, and there's really not, that was it. I was a young girl. This was a brand new experience. My mother traveled with me. She was with me. I made friends. The show was a success. She took me under her wing, and I grew up a little fast. That was the beginning of my career.
Uh, what was for you? Where did you go with? Where did you go after that?
Downhill.
What, back to the
a
Olympics?
lot of a lot of years of struggling right after that. A lot of doors being slammed on my face.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Didn't know. Yeah. Now that's Hollywood. What do they say? It's like every door that opens.
You're good into your next take.
Right.
I went back to school. I went to, I'm a cellist, so I was, at the time, I was competing a lot. I was doing a lot of cello. I was playing a lot of cello, 100-piece orchestra, running to classes in New York City, auditioning like crazy. And then MTV happened. And then I was on MTV for a few years. And I traveled with them a bit. I was on a few shows. I was on The State. You Wrote It, You Watch It. Jon Stewart, that's how he started. I was on his show. I was on a TV show, a dance show called The Grind. It was like today's version of the American Bandstand. And, I got to, years later, meet up with Faye in LA, and she picked me up in her Cadillac, and we drove up and down Rodeo, and she took me to Musso and Frank's, and basically my career was, I was always a working actor, like that, hands down, like black box theaters on Christopher Street, people, full packed houses to one person in the audience. I was always working. There was never a time I wasn't working. I was joking around, like, struggling and door slams, but it comes with the territory.
Sure.
But I was always working on what sort of resurged my career was when casting director Eve Battaglia called me out of the blue, and she's like, I think I have something for you. It's nothing, not a lead or anything, but I have something for you. And I said, I don't care. I just want to be on set. And that was Blue Caprice.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that, because I am a IFC film fanatic. That's what a lot of people here know me in my community here on the tube. They know me very much as the IFC guy. I have 230 other films.
Yep.
I just bought Blue Caprice. I bought it not more than about a month, maybe a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
I saw the previews for it. It looks absolutely insane. So I bought a copy of it. It's based off the DC Sniper.
Yes.
So what was your experience like shooting that film?
It was one of the best experiences I've ever had. And once again, it was during a period of my career where it was a resurge a little bit, where once that movie happened, other things just snowballed, which I'll get into. But Blue Caprice was an eye opener for me, because I auditioned for the pregnant woman, not the victim. It was the pregnant woman passing the victim. And I just nodded her. And apparently when Alexander Moores, the director, French director, saw my audition, he wanted me as the victim, because he liked the way, apparently from what I was told, that I reacted a certain way. And once again, for those that are listening, Blue Caprice, it's based on the DC Sniper shooting. But what Alexander did, which was brilliant, was that and Isaiah Washington, which was a wonderful actor. I had a great time. He's fabulous. Alexander didn't make it a horror movie. I mean, easily could have happened, because it could have shown all of the murders. It could have shown all this, like all of it. And he instead only chose 3 actors or a few actors to portray the victim. And I was one of them. And I was in the trailer, and I didn't I didn't know. I was sitting in my trailer, working on my Sudoku, waiting to be on set. and these two stoner guys, knock on the door, and they're like, "Hey, we're the detonators,"
I love
and
that.
I'm like, "Okay, come in." And I look back down, and I'm nerding out on my little number book, and I'm just like waiting, and I'm playing Sudoku, and they're staring at me, and they look straight out of ZZ Top, like they had the grunge tops, the concert shirts, all black, long hair, and they're staring at me like I'm an insane person. They're like, we're the detonators. We got to squib you. And I'm like, I'm I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. And I'm not green to the industry. I just didn't know that I was being hooked up to live wire and that they were going to explode me. Um and I actually said to them, I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, we gotta hook you up. We're gonna explode you. We're gonna, you know, in a few minutes." And I'm like, "No, I don't you don't you don't you use like ketchup packets or
That the thing is, so,
just they were
now
like,
normally on a horror film, that would actually be a really good question because I actually saw a film that's exactly what they did, Alexis. They used ketchup for the wound, so you weren't that far off.
you know?
You were in the ballpark.
So these guys were just like, "Will you excuse us?" And lo and behold, there I am being hooked up to live wire. And they were like, "So we hear this is your first time?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, do you know what you're in for?" And I'm like, No." They were like, "Okay." I'm like, "Is there a rehearsal?" And they were like, "No." There's
Now, wasn't this your first time that you actually died on in a project? Was
Yeah,
that part of it? Was that part of it? It was like
yeah,
you
and
had
it
never
was
had a
great
character.
because wardrobe, and by the way, everyone was fantastic. They were just like, but wardrobe's like, "Okay, so here's your three exact outfits." I'm like, "Okay, great." They were like, "Right, you gotta nail it in three." So,
Wow. No pressure, please.
and I'm like, "Oh." I get on set, and Alexander's there, and he's like, "Okay," and he's like, "Go there, blah, 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 blah." He's very, blah, 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 very Cassavetes. Now that we're going back to that, very thinking back, very Cassavetes. Blah, 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 blah. "Okay, an action. You're gonna walk." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, great." And I'm like, I'm just curious because I have wire. I have wire on me. Is anyone gonna tell me like in the background when I'm gonna explode? And he does this. No. I'm like, "Oh." And so lo and behold, I learned very quickly. And it all joking aside, it was a fun story, but I think I nailed it. I did it. It was a wonderful experience. Did it in 1, 2, 3 takes, and the atmosphere, just the whole vibe and everything was wonderful. Everyone on set was fantastic, and once again, it just snowballed because I literally that day after I after I went after I wrapped Blue Caprice, I because we filmed in Jersey or Staten Island, um, drove home, and then I had to go to Connecticut, and that's when I worked. That's when I was cast for Penny Dreadful Picture Show, and that's I worked alongside Sid Haig.
Now, yeah, now you're talking like a horror royalty now.
Yeah, and I just for the record, it goes to show how much I didn't know horror. When I auditioned for it, Lee Scott, you know, I did the scene, and then when he told me right off the bat at the audition, he's like, You got it." I'm like, "Oh my god, this is great." He's like, "So you're gonna be working with Captain Spaulding." And this came out of my mouth, and I swear to God, I now I know what a dumb blonde feels like. Because I'm like, "Oh, he owns a boat?" Had no idea who Sid Haig was. I'm not into horror. I was a stage
Oh,
actress in New York City. I had no idea. And he just looked at me. Lee, to this day, he was like, do you? I'm like, I'm not big on, I don't know who that is. But
right.
Sid was a doll. And that sort of snowballed, that research. It was because Blue Caprice, it surged, and it just went right into the video game world and everything else. And Blue Caprice wound up going to Sundance, and we all went to Sundance, and that was just that was a great experience.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I champion ISC films. They pick out the best films. They really do. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm sure you've been to the IFC Center in New
I've
York.
I've worked IFC.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, sure. I'm in New York during the years of struggle. That's why I always said I was always a working actor. If I wasn't auditioning, I was very, very involved in the in Tribeca Film Festival and all the festivals. Oh yeah, I was very hands-on.
Yeah,
Always.
I would love to see this IFC Center once before I go. Um, I just because I. Uh, hey Frank, how are you, sir? Just saying hi to a couple of people that came in. Hi TJ. Yeah, I would like to definitely see. I'd like to go to the IFC Center
Oh
before.
yeah, no, it's dope. It's cool. It's very cool. Yeah,
Well,
I know that. I've worked that for years.
what was it like going to Sundance as an actress?
It was great. I've been there a few times. And that time it was cool because I was with the film. I was with Eve, the casting director show was there, and met up with people that had their films there. I had met up with friends, and it's it's a cool club to be in.
And you worked and like you said, you were working, so you're working at the different film festivals. That was been a bit eye opener too, because now you're on the other side of it. You're in front of the camera, but
Yep.
now you're working at a festival. Now you see how it works.
Yep.
How did you like working for the festivals? Was it eye opener? Was it eye opening how it works?
Um, it was long hours. It was a lot of fun. I didn't really think too much about it. Like I said, I worked with a lot of friends. And my job, varied here and there from just, being, at the time I was young. So, I was a runner, I was doing this, and then graduated here and there and wound up being part of the parties. And, it's cool when you're young and you have to greet Michael Douglas and, you know, everyone, everyone there. It was just, Ethan Hawke at the time. And, it was very New York, very cool, very, we were all in it together. It was a very private, it's very private party, so to
Were you,
speak. The
were you
festivals
surprised?
are, even though it's this own world in itself, it's a very private party. And then it was very cool because, I promised myself, I'll be on the other side and that I'd be walking the red carpet at Tribeca, and I did with Kiss Me Again. And I that was another film that was with Catherine Winnick, and I was in Kiss Me Again with Daryl Hammond, Fred Armisen, and it was a fun little indie movie that was at IFC. And I found myself years later, a young runner coming up to me, and I spoke with her, and a few of them, and I said, I did that years ago, and it was fun. It's cool when it goes back.
Were you surprised to see how political the film festivals really are?
No, I didn't get to see that. I mean, no, I didn't see anything too political. Uh, uh, the films there that I worked on, and the actors, you have to understand, New York is very, very different than LA. And I'm not knocking LA because obviously there's talent there. But with New York is talent. Even
Hmm.
the shitty films. Like even working in theater, even the worst shows were, there's just talent. I didn't see anything political. I saw talent.
Uh, so now you're working with Sid Haig. Now, was this your first horror film, directly horror film that you did?
Uh, yes. Sorry, I had to think because during that time also I was cast in Peiling Kuo, her short film that went to Cannes, because I didn't go to Cannes, but the film went, short film called Prescott Place, where I play a 1940s fallen star that becomes a recluse, and I also play a baby doll. So there's two parts. So that was very freaky. For me, I thought that was more horror than Penny Dreadful. That's why I have to think when you asked me if it was my first horror film, because technically I would think the baby doll would be horror, but yes, Penny Dreadful was horror movie. I play a murderer.
Oh, wow. So you went from playing a victim in Blue Caprice to on the other side playing a
I
murderer.
went right into that. And those are basically my roles. I mean, either annihilating or saving the world. There's no in between with me.
Uh, Now, did you get a chance to do any drama or romantic comedies, romantic leads, where you were the leading lady, the one that all the men were chasing after?
No, never.
Now, was that by choice? Do
Um,
you choose the roles that you'd like to do? I mean, someone comes up to you and says, "Yeah, we want you to be we want you to be the romantic lead." Do you ever turn down roles like that?
I always pass them up. I don't even look at them.
Wow.
No, I never.
Now,
Look, I mean,
can
don't get.
I have a reason why I'm asking, obviously. So why not? Because you're
My brain was never connected to that. I always thought, and look, I'm not knocking it. Don't get me wrong. If I get a call tomorrow and I have to make out with, I don't know, name someone hot. I always say Tom Hardy, but he's married and I don't want, any problems. But if I
right.
had to be his leading person or someone, I'm not going to say no to it.
Uh-huh.
But I always found those roles to be boring. I just, my eyes, it's funny because a week before Penny Dreadful even came into my life, and I kid you not, A Clockwork Orange came on like a week or two. No, it was a week before even an audition happened for Penny Dreadful, and A Clockwork Orange was on, and I said, you know what? I haven't seen this movie. I really want to sit down and watch the acting. And we all know Clockwork Orange. I mean, it's this insane movie, and what have you, and dark, and you walk out of the theater. But I sat down and I said, I want to watch this. And I kid you not, at the end of the movie, I said, I only want to do roles, or I relate to roles that are very much like Alex, like Malcolm McDowell in A Clockwork Orange. And I said, I said the next role, I want it to be very similar to that. And lo and behold, literally 1 week later, I get a script, and it was Penny Dreadful Picture Show.
Wow.
And I had a feeling that I was going to get it, because the role that I was to play, her name was Nancy, and that was my mother's name.
Okay. Wow.
I just knew. And it was, I mean, when people watch Penny Dreadful, please don't compare me to A Clockwork Orange, but it was in that aesthetic. It was in that,
right.
It was in that darkness, that deep. I love deep. I grew up once again in theater, monologues, pages of memorizing David Mamet, doing all these, very gritty, fun roles, not leading lady that, oh my God, why didn't you call me last night? I can't, I don't sound like that in my love life. That's why I'm probably single, because I don't know. I don't have time for that shit. I have no time to memorize a line like that. Never. I went to acting classes.
I'm sort of crushed now, because I'm looking at you and I'm going like, I mean, I was looking, I'm just seeing and going like, so because she didn't go after some of these roles, which she would have nailed. We got to see Jessica Sarah Parker for years. It's like that's not right. You shouldn't have did that to us, Alexis. You should have went after those roles harder and saved us.
Well, no, I mean, if you okay, so if you want to know where my brain is with romantic comedies, I would do period piece romantic comedies. It would be like, for instance, a perfect example. Okay, if you the movies that I would relate to a romantic comedy would be British romance. It would
Yeah.
be, the other day I saw Juliette Binoche in The English Patient. That love story, that heart, that treachery, that you see the pain. That to me is romantic comedy. I think probably I might have a problem with American romantic comedies. But
Yeah.
if it was the romantic comedies that I do and that I do relate to, would be that type of British, British romance.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever watch the new Penny Dreadful they did? They did 4 seasons of it.
Penny Dreadful Picture Show, the movie that I was in, is completely different than HBO. Nothing like it.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it
no,
was
I
the
haven't
same
seen
time.
it.
Oh, you haven't seen it.
Nothing against the show. I just never got to see it.
Um, I was looking at your line, and I noticed that one thing right off the bat, that you and I have a pretty good friend in common. Um, you worked with him quite a bit, actually. And it's Brandon Slagle.
Oh yes. Well, okay.
Brandon and I are, we talk quite a bit.
So interesting enough, I met Brandon's now wife, Devaney, on Penny Dreadful Picture Show, and she was the one, we shared a trailer together, and by the end of the shoot, like we all bonded. It was a great set all around. But she, at the time, her and Brandon were putting together Black Dahlia Haunting. And that is what put me on the map for horror. And I'll never forget Devaney, because she's not new to the horror genre. She knew how to work it. She actually introduced me to the horror circuits, and even Brandon. And it was a very good time in my life. I remember it was a very cool, very different, because I didn't know horror, and I was doing a circuit with them, and Stephanie just looked at me. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Now you're in the horror world." It's like you can't escape, you know. I realized I arrived in the horror scene when I did a convention. We were already promoting for Dahlia, and a bunch of people, fans, were walking around with the slit faces.
Right.
And I'm like, and that for me, that sort of hit.
Yeah, I was reading about that. I'm just looking at it, and you did Dead Sea with them.
Yeah.
Which he disavows that movie. He's like, well, if we cannot talk about that. Because it has a badass cover on it.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's fine.
Look, here's the thing. People can say whatever they want about people making movies, and whatever. Oh, this person did a shitty movie. Oh my God, what a boring movie. Oh my God. You know what? They did a movie.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up.
Right. Well,
you do a movie. I don't care who you are. I don't care what falling out you had with someone and you feel like knocking this person. You do a movie. Until then, don't give me your bullshit.
Unless you're Brett Kelly.
Unless I am who?
Unless it's Brett Kelly.
Who's Brett Kelly?
Oh my God. No. You know what? I'm a believer of that too. Okay, I'll be honest, Alexis. I'm with you about that.
Yeah.
97% of the time, I'm with you. If you haven't done a
Yeah.
movie, do a movie. But
And look, I get it.
sometimes there are directors that are just so bad, and they make
Oh, Brooke.
really bad movies. That you know what? I'm sorry. You know what?
Right.
My I could go down and film my cat taking a shit in the litter box, and that's going to be a better movie than what you made. I could do that, and I could take my camera downstairs, crank out a 3-minute short film, and it's better than what you just put on the screen.
Right.
I mean, so I can make a movie and a better one. Sometimes it does happen, but yeah, you're right. I mean, I like sometimes some directors are like that. They're it's like actors too. They're their own worst critics. Like I don't watch myself on TV. I don't watch myself on screen. I
Right.
hear that a lot.
And I totally get it. Like, Brandon with the Dead Sea. Everyone, I get it. I know film directors and even actors are like, oh God, no. For me as an actor, I had a great experience on that set.
Yeah, I love the cover of it. I actually have the copy of the movie. I have the copy of that movie. I actually have a copy of Black Dahlia Haunting. Now that I know that, now I don't have to go watch that. Me and Brandon, he's such a cool guy.
Yeah.
I actually interviewed him for my blog, but what I really was impressed was the fact that he and I and a couple other film critics, we had a discussion on Twitter about Charles Manson.
Yes.
It was when
I was casting director on that.
for the Charlie Manson haunting.
Yeah, for his film Manson.
Okay. Well, we had a discussion about it because that was right after Quentin Tarantino had announced that he was going to do, Once Upon in Hollywood, and I personally just can't stand the idea of people just doing Charles Manson movies because he's a monster, and I don't know what you can drag out of it. I mean, he's the most covered criminal in American history.
I know. A lot of people are very into Charlie Manson. I never personally got it, but I mean,
no, I don't either. And it's like, because I was looking because after I got to know Brandon, I went to look for one of his movies to watch. And so I went to my video store. Do you remember what those are?
Yeah.
I don't think young people know what those are. But I went to a video store. I was looking for a movie of his to watch. And the only thing they had was the Charles Manson movie. And I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I passed on it, and we had a really nice civilized discussion about it.
right.
And he said, that, and then I got other movies of his, like I watched The Dawn, which I really liked, which again it correlates. You guys are like Kevin Bacon almost. It's sort of scary because that too is an Amityville movie.
Which one?
The Dawn.
Okay, I don't know that.
He did that one about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah, and it's the very first story about Amityville, and it had him. Cool. Yeah, he Devaney played a nun, and yeah, she actually pulled it off really well, and that was an Amityville movie too. Of course, he didn't know that until the very very end, until it got revealed that it was actually Amityville. So, but yeah, I saw that, and I saw you had done Escape to Ensenada.
Yep.
Which I remember they were pushing that quite a bit, and I never found that one though. I was looking for that one, a physical copy of that. I never saw it. I never saw
that was a fun move. That was actually a lot of fun too. I was a producer on that, one of the producers.
Yeah, I saw that too. How did you get into the producing aspect of things, Alexis? I mean, was
that and the video game world just sort of fell into my lap, and I now own, I have content, and I'm pitching. I have some true crime. I have some fiction. And I'm keeping a few things under wraps, but I love it. It was the perfect trifecta for me. I love acting. That's just part of my world, in my blood. but the video games, for me, we can talk hours about it. And the video game world fell literally right into my lap, smack, the same month Blue Caprice and Penny Dreadful Picture Show and Prescott Place. So that was like Sundance, Cannes Film Festival, Penny Dreadful, that Sid Haig, and then World of Warcraft. Like, it just boom, 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 boom. That was it. And that was like, that's where earlier I said my career sort of had a resurge. It just went into a different direction that I never knew what would happen, because at the same time I was introduced to the ComCon world, and that is foreign territory for me. Sitting down and signing autographs, and like, it was just like, I thought it was so weird, because I'm like, well, I'm not famous, but in video games and stuff, my characters are quite famous. They're quite famous.
You must have been were you shocked the first time you saw yourself as a cosplay? Someone cosplayed one of your characters?
When I was sitting down signing, I would see characters that look like me. Yeah, it was very cool. It's very cool. No, it's just, I love it. I love producing. I love building a team. I love, putting a team together, and location scouting, and finding actors, and locking locations, and negotiating, and I just love all of it. I really do. I'm on the field. I love being on the field. I love the pre-production. I love the phone calls. I love all the monotony. I like all the craziness. That doesn't bother me. Well, I have no problem. I have no problem putting out fires and solving problems.
Now, are you gonna take the next step up and become an executive producer? Get the money? That's the hard one. I think everybody says that's the least popular job of any
sure
set.
Executive producer, yes, absolutely. Next step, no
That's rough. You have to go in there and make your pitch and everything else. Yeah. Excuse me, but if I wanted to audition, I'd just go back downstairs and do audition for an acting role. I don't need to know why I have to come up here and make this big massive pitch for money. I know it's brutal, and I know it's brutal. I've had a few directors on here that have had to wear both director and executive producer hats, and they hate it too. They do. They say that's the most unpleasant part of the job, is to go out there and try to secure financing. By far, they said it's the most unpleasant part.
Yep. But there are other loopholes. It's just, you got to play it smart. It is about money, but it's also really building a very strong team. And you have to build knowing people's skill sets and people's talent, not because you broed out the week before, and you're gonna cast this person. Oh, I like you. Not we're not we're not Louis B. Mayer. It's a lot of people have that dream in their head that it's silver screen, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna put you on pictures, and it doesn't work like that. If you want to build a solid, true team, you have to leave the ego at the door, leave emotions right there with it, out the door. No emotion. It's business. Can't take it personally. It is fucking business, whether you like it or not. And you have to build a team that you're passionate with, that has the same vision, and get yourself a damn good showrunner.
Someone's gone through the wars. Now, I'm sure you appreciate the fact because you worked with Thomas on Amityville Moon, so you appreciate the fact that that's how he operates. He has his team built in place. He's had it for years. He's had that same crew around him for years, and it makes a really short and fast shoot. I'm always amazed when someone will come in there and say, I shot this movie in 10 days. It just stuns me. It's just like,
Yep.
how the hell can you make a whole full length movie in just 10 days? Uh, 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 it's just like I'm blown away by it. Matt Eskandari, I just got done making a new film. Oh yeah, he did a one with Jesse Metcalf and Bruce Willis.
Right.
Okay, that's a pretty decent cast right there, right? That's gonna be like, you're gonna take some time. You're gonna, plan out the shoot and everything else, and then, you're thinking 6 weeks, like 6 week, 2 months shoot,
Mm-hmm.
10 days. 10 days. I'm like,
Yep.
how? Just like, but that's how it is these days, because of the streaming services going on, and now these content people, they need product. They're voracious for it. The faster you can get it to me, the faster I can stick it up there, and the faster, it's like it's a race.
Mm-hmm.
And you really have to be sharp and quick and on the ball.
Yep.
I mean, as an actor, as a producer, you can appreciate that, right? A fast shoot, then you can go on to the next one. But as an actress, don't you wish that they would slow down a little bit?
Well, I mean, that is the pros and cons of independent filmmaking. The independent film world, especially a certain level, it's just, it's you want to grind them out, and I get it. But there are pros and cons to it with all of it, because
Yeah.
you're trying to get it all out, and we're all trying to make a name for ourselves, and we just want to keep, look, I'm working, but it's look, as a producer, I worked with Thomas on I was one of the associate producers for Nation's Fire, and that was a very cool experience. I personally always wanted to produce a biker movie, and I got to work with these cool cats, all these bikers. It was really cool. This was a different level of independent film, but at the end of the day, I mean, I can tell you personally, after the shoot, and it has nothing, it was a great shoot, but because of filmmaking, and it doesn't necessarily have to be independent, but with this type of a film, at the end of the shoot, I couldn't walk. My legs were wobbling. I couldn't walk. That's like, when you are on set, especially an independent film, but in general, you don't sleep. You just don't. And you don't look at it when you're on set. You don't say, oh, this is an independent. Like, I mean, you see differences. I mean, don't get me wrong. And you can't compare Blue Caprice to other films that I've worked on. It's and I'm not saying that in a bad way. Just everything is different. But when you are on set, it is the same blood, sweat, and tears at the end of the day.
Right.
Cutting corner. I mean, the independent world, the only thing in difference sometimes is the money in cutting corners, but you just plow through it. And that's why I said a few minutes ago, it doesn't matter how bad the film is. I mean, you still can rag on it, but you made a movie. You got up every morning.
Right.
You got up every morning, and you did it. And you a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people can rip people for shit work. But as long as you do better and you're growing, if you're doing the same shit, no,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not nothing. Look, I'm not knocking that either, but but I
Well,
loved,
though, it's funny. It's funny. There's I was reading about this. There's this director, and his name's Todd Sheets, and Todd Sheets does extreme horror. He doesn't just do horror; he does extreme horror. And I mean, he's Gonzo, and the gore in his movies are really out there. And and it's funny, is like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, okay. So I'm reading the review of one of this guy's films, and there's a critic who wrote about it. He's been following Todd Sheets for 20 years. He's been following him. He's reviewed most of everything he's reviewed, and he's that he's filmed. And he just said, I've been following this guy's career for 20 years, and I'm really mad. I'm just really mad. And I'm like, okay, why would you be mad at this guy for 20 years and you've enjoyed his films? And he actually said this. He wrote, says, the guy's been making film for 20 years and he hasn't learned anything.
That's right.
He hasn't learned anything. He hasn't elevated this game at all. It's the same thing from 20 years ago till now. And it's just, why is that?
Right.
But he wasn't ripping him, Alexis.
Right.
He wasn't. He wanted Todd to be better. He says, because this guy is talented. Like I interviewed a director today before our interview from the UK named Darren James King. That guy is a keeper. He is a keeper. He is going to be, when he gets going, he's going to be. We're going to be hearing his name. Give it another 5 or 6 years, and he'll be a household name if he continues to pass on now. I love seeing that. I do. I love seeing directors and producers that work and elevate a project. Acting too. When you're an actor, just because you do a horror film does not mean that you can just phone it in. I love that when an actor gets in there and puts some teeth to it. And it's exciting. Just because the movie's low budget doesn't mean the acting's low budget.
Right. Sure.
I personally feel. For a low budget film, as long as you got a great script, if you got a good story, I don't care. I don't care about the budget. If you have enough budget to tell the story effectively. Now, some directors, you've probably seen this yourself, and that is maybe they should wait a little bit longer to get a little bit more cash before they shoot.
Yeah. I agree.
They sometimes I've always felt that way. I've always felt like, listen, you did to Indiegogo, you did the startup, you did the GoFundMe. So you got $5,000 in your hand.
No.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. You got $5,000 sitting right there. Now you could take that money and film your film and cut corners and loose scenes and everything else, or you could sit there and just gut it out another 4 months or 5 months, try to get $10,000 and tell your whole story with a little extra on there. And it's like, what's more important, the speed or the quantity of the product you put out, or the quality?
Right.
I'd rather go with the quality. You could be low budget or no budget and still put out a quality movie.
Of course.
It just kills me when I see, like I was teasing you about Brett Kelly earlier. I literally am telling you, he made a movie. He spent under $300 to make it.
I don't know who he is. No clue.
There's other directors. So you see them and they come out there and there's like, okay, this is like your 30th movie. Why is the 30th look like the first? Why? That's what kills me.
There might be a method to his madness. Maybe he probably does that on purpose, sort of like he's probably trying to be the next Ed Wood.
Oh my God. I think Ed Wood would wake up, slap him silly, and then go back to bed. It's funny, we're mentioning speed and everything because Thomas is doing that 6th series of Amityville films.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Amityville Moon, or we'll be in here in a second. And I'm already going to be talking to one of the stars of Amityville Uprising in a couple of weeks.
Nice.
The next one's already out.
Yes, he really he pumps them out, and Lionsgate is distributed it in all these trilogies, and that was really exciting to finally announce. It was really cool. Working on that set was very, very interesting indeed, because it was during COVID. It was during a very interesting time in everyone's life. Obviously obeyed all the protocols, masks, all that stuff. I don't have to get into that. But it was a very interesting time, especially for during my life. And then I got to work and meet with the lovely Augie Duke, my girl.
Augie's
My girl.
Augie is the best.
Oh no, forget it. We're from the same New York cloth. It's just very different backgrounds, but very similar because her family is from a forget it, background of show business. Wonderful background. But no, I met Augie. We worked together. I played in Amityville Nikki. It was a fun role, and I got to play a lot with it. And Thomas called me and he's like, I have a part for you. And I said, sure. And that was it. I look at horror. I don't take it seriously. And I don't mean that as a disrespect.
No,
had fun. I was an actress on this set. Didn't think twice about it. Look, I'm just happy on it. I'll be honest with you, was there more of a scene that I had? Oh, absolutely. If you see the movie, it's and I'm not upset with it at all. Like the movie's not about me, but it goes to editing, goes to like all these things of trying to, put all the pieces together. But the role that I had, I enjoyed it. I worked with some really great people. It was a great experience. And I had a cool kill scene, not to give it away.
Oh no. Oh yes, now how many times have you died in a horror film now? Have you died enough times to call you a screen queen?
One. Oh yeah, I think I've died in everyone.
Okay, you're screen queen.
Yeah. Because I played Black Dahlia.
Right. So Elizabeth Short, right? Was her real name, right?
I played Elizabeth Short. Penny, Dreadful.
What was it like playing a real victim like Elizabeth Short? I mean, what was that like? Did you feel some sort of responsibility to it? I mean, even though it's like a horror fantasy movie or whatever,
well,
it was a real victim.
When it comes to me and talking about that, it's a little touchy. So, we've had some very weird experiences happen to us when we did the research, especially I did. I did some deep research, walked the streets of Dahlia. Really, really did some deep diving, and sometimes when you do that, you open up certain doors. It was just I can't explain. It's talking about it sometimes. I would rather not.
Yeah, I read the young man who wrote a book, and he made the case that his father killed her.
Huh?
And, yeah, his father was a former cop, and he wrote a book based on it, and he investigated it, and he came to the conclusion that his dad did it. It was a fascinating book.
Well, the twist to that was that I did an interview a while back, right after Dahlia. I was starting to do some press on it, and I didn't know that I think the interview before or after Fauna Hodel was on. Now, Fauna Hodel was the daughter of, like, all right, how do I explain this? Fauna Hodel. Okay, so the TV show TNT Into the Night with Chris Pine? That was based on Dahlia.
Okay.
That was based on Fauna Hodel. Fauna Hodel, let me get this correct because it's been a while, so forgive me. Fauna Hodel's mother was, so Fauna's father was really the grandfather. It was Hodel that basically that murdered Dahlia. He was the dentist. He threw the sex parties. He was basically the Jeffrey Epstein back in the day. And that was Fauna's grandfather father, because it was incest, because Hodel used to rape his daughter.
Wow.
Hodel used to he had a huge mansion or a home on Franklin, and John Huston, Angelica Houston's father, was his best friend, and there was major crazy parties there. And apparently there was a rumor that a reason why he had so many parties was because besides sex parties or whatever, there was also abortion parties, because he was a doctor. And Hodel used to also have sex with his 14-year-old daughter, who got pregnant and had Fauna. So Fauna heard my interview, and she got in touch with me. And 2 years after I did the film, no one really knows of this, I kept this to myself. She said, the next time you're in town, because at the time I wasn't living in LA, I was traveling quite a bit. She said, next time you're in LA, let's meet. And I said, okay. And I met her at Starbucks, the one in Beverly Hills, right off of Santa Monica, going into Westwood. There was this, like, right across from the Beverly Hilton, I'll never forget. And there she was sitting in the corner, and we started talking, and she heard my interview, and she's like, I said, did you see the film? Because it's super low budget, you know, it has its moments, but it's done very well for the budget that they had. And I said, did you see the film? And she's like, no, I'll never see it. She's like, I can't. And I said, I don't blame you. And her last words was, there's a missing link to the murder. And I said, what do you mean? She's like, well, we have an idea. We know that, like, Hodel, my father, he had something to do with it. But she believes that the murder, she felt there were more than one. There was more than one that was still alive. And she wanted me to solve it.
She wanted you to solve the murder.
Yeah.
I think the Dahlia murder case is like our own version of Jack the Ripper.
Oh no, it was Jack the Ripper. Oh, 100%. 100%. And I said, what do you, like, I'm in Starbucks, and I'm like thinking about, you know, I thought I was going to be talking movies with her, and she's like, he's still out there. And I'm like, I don't know. And she just said, I heard how you research.
Oh, right.
And
right.
we kept it as that. And we stayed in touch, and poor baby had brain cancer, and she passed away.
Yeah.
But I had to let that go. I'm usually a person
you're not, I mean, but you're not,
that likes to solve problems, likes to solve you know, court TV every morning, the murder, you know, documentaries. I watch that before I go to bed, you know. But I sort of took a step back after she wanted me to sort of research it, because I did so much research with Dahlia, and I had my own personal experiences. I wasn't ready to touch that territory again, because I know me, and I know the way I research and the way people approach me. I know if I decide to open up that door again, there's going to be a very dark portal.
Yeah, there's no reason to go there. I mean, I ask, you know, because playing a real life person is a lot different from playing a fictional person. Like, you know, like think about it. I mean, you played Elizabeth Short.
Yep.
You played one of the victims of the DC sniper. I mean, that was a real person,
Yep.
So it's a lot different when you play someone who's a real character, someone in real life.
Right.
You know, what's it like playing that person? Because you gotta slide into their footsteps. It's a lot different from playing, you know, someone who's battling a werewolf. You know,
right?
You know, in Amityville, it's like, okay, even though the Amityville series itself have really banked on the Defoe murders,
Yeah.
which is, and it's like, okay, and I get that. I get it because it's a magic word. It all depends who you talk to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people who absolutely love Amityville. Anything Amityville, they're all
Yeah.
in
Once again, that's right up there with Charlie Manson. I mean, totally cool that I was part of the franchise, but it was a
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, that's how I look at it
It
too.
was a movie.
I'm one of those that I like Amityville movies, but I mean, it's not like I go looking for them. I like the
No.
fact, like Thomas is doing something cool here. I like that. I'm waiting to see how he's going to end it, how he's going to tie them all together,
Sure.
because they're all standalone right now. There's, Uprising standalone, but I guess by the end of the sixth movie, he's going to tie them all together. I want to see how he does it. That part I want to see. But like if someone comes out with an Amityville, now someone put an Amityville Sasquatch out, or it's Amityville Bigfoot, and it's just like, I'm not gonna watch that. I have no interest in watching that. It's silly. It's just doesn't interest me. But something, and because that's just silly. It's just I don't mind. I like good horror films, Alexis. I do. I like intelligent ones. That's why I liked Amityville Harvest quite a bit. I thought Thomas did a really nice job with it. He had a really nice cast. It was fun. Sadly, the one person who stole the film, every scene he was in, he passed away shortly after the film was completed. Well, that was a bummer. But it was a fun film. But yeah, I mean, horror is just, sometimes you do got to leave the set, and like for you, how do you decompress after doing an intense role? What do you do? I mean,
it goes back to the trifecta where so far how this has always worked is as soon as I do a film like Amityville or a deep movie, literally a video game comes right in.
Okay.
Like, or I'm on a TV show. I'm on. I was on. I do a lot of comedy, and basically that was my theater background. Also, I did a lot of straight comedy, not musical theater comedy, but comedy. But I was on True TV, Laugh Track, Laugh Mob, Laugh Mob. I always reverse it on True TV, and that was a wonderful experience. I got to work with some really great people, and I was on TV for a while. And that was back in 2019. And I was on a few episodes on that. And I always find myself, or it usually finds me, I don't look for it. When I do a dark role or I just come out of it, it's either a comedy will roll right back in, or a really awesome video game, or I'm on set producing or pitching or getting together my content and doing my thing.
So let's talk about your video game, because I mean,
oh please, let's talk about it.
Yes. How did you how you said you just rolled into your lap? I can't imagine it was that easy. I'm sure Saul must have known your
I'm
voice.
actually embarrassed to even tell this story as well, because I have emails, not so much about the horror movies I'm in or whatever. The majority of the people that get in touch with me has to do with, Alexis, how do you get into video game world? And I'm embarrassed to tell people, because once again, I've been in the industry my whole life. So it's not like I woke up one morning and I'm like, oh, I'm an actor. No, I've been in the industry. So video game world is in the industry, but I never thought this door would be.
Sure. It certainly is.
Very welcoming to me. And it is. It's very welcoming to me. A few years ago, this was literally during Blue Caprice. All of that, like I said, I'm going back to that. Sorry if I sound like a broken record. It was during that time where a friend of mine worked for Rockstar Video Games, and out of the blue, I remember it was a cold, rainy night. I was going out to dinner, and I get a random phone call. She's like, Lex, I got to ask you something. Do you like video games? And I started laughing, because people don't know that about me, is that I'm a secret gamer. I'm a gamer. When I hang up here, I'm gonna go to my Xbox and play some Portal and Call of Duty, and I'm gonna be playing, but not 12 hours like a lunatic. But I laughed. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, why? And I didn't know she worked for a video game for Rockstar. And I said, why? And she's like, would you want to be like, it's called individuals. Would you want to be an extra, like voices in a video game? And I'm like, fuck yeah. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. She's like, all right, you have to be at the studio tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. So next thing I know, I'm at Button Studio in New York City, and they give me this contract the size of a Bible.
Wow.
And I knew. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is this?
NDA.
An NDA. Yeah. The NDA basically said, you peep one word, you're done. You're gonna disappear. We're gonna make you disappear. Like, that's exactly what it said. Like, shut the fuck up.
Right.
So I signed. I walk into the studio, and because I buy Game Informer magazine, I knew certain people. I walked in and I'm like, oh fuck, these guys look so familiar, and I realize I'm in the room with Laszlo Jones, and Laszlo Jones at the time, or still is, it's been a hot second, like video game guru, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, what? And they looked at me, they said, do you know what video game you're in? I said, no. They're like, oh, well, you're in the new Grand Theft Auto installment. I'm like, oh. What was only supposed to be 15 minutes in the booth, which made perfect sense, because my individual lines were what Grand Theft Auto would be is, fuck you, everything was a curse word. Everything was screaming, cursing, New York accent. I had fun with it.
I'm walking here. I'm walking
here. Very Ratso Rizzo, which I can pull off in a heartbeat. And they muted me for a second, and then a second later, Laszlo was like, Alexa, I gotta ask you something. And I said, sure. He's like, do you have a problem saying the C word? And I said, cunt? No. And he started laughing, and he's like, I have a role for you. So what was supposed to be only a few lines, I wound up getting a role in Grand Theft Auto, and that pretty much the next recording booth I was in months later, World of Warcraft. I landed the two goblin leads, and then it snowballed, and I was embraced by the Blizzard family, and they called me back, and then I was then in World of Warcraft Legion, and I played Naga, one of the kill bosses. In order to get to the next level, you have to kill me. And that was a really cool role, and I got to reconnect with the Blizzard family in LA years later when I lived there. I'm in the new Fallout 76 Steel Dawn video game. That was just recent. That was fantastic. It's out now. It was a great experience. Don't ask me where I am in the video game, because that world is so huge. I got a friend, an acquaintance / fan who's a huge in Fallout, lives in Vienna. And I got a random email. She's like, this is you. And she found me. I'm in the video game.
I was gonna say,
she was playing in Vienna, and there I was. I'm one of I have a very cool part, but once again, it's just such a huge world. It's like, I can't even find me. I just booked another great one. I'm in New York now, so the first week when right before Thanksgiving, I landed another golden nugget, which I'm very excited about. I can't wait to announce that, but right now I can't.
Right. Yeah, I think people are really surprised when you because I watched a lot of animation too, and it surprises, I think it surprises people when they go behind the scenes, for a lot of people think that actors just sit on a chair and they go into the mic and they read the lines. All right, Superman, fly me over to Gotham City. Okay, Batman,
Yeah, no.
But in actuality, you got to act still. I mean, you see
Oh,
some of these actors behind the scenes, and they're full on, even though no one's watching them other than the studio, but they're full on, like, pow, ooh, motherfucker. And then,
oh,
they're into it.
one,
They're like, Arr.
one,
And
one,
I'm sure it's like that with gaming too.
100%. I truly believe why, and I feel confident, not arrogant, but I feel confident enough to say that I do have a knack for video games. I do the voices. I walk in the booth, and I think because I love it so much, it's like drinking water for me. I love it. But thanks to theater, oh, hands down, having the theater background, 100% has a lot to do with why I'm I'm good at the gaming world. Absolutely.
Have you been
It is physical. It is
have you been approached?
100% physical. And people think, oh, you sit down, you chill out, you have
Oh
some
no.
water, everyone thinks we're chilling. No, you have to, if you have a paragraph or a monologue, you have to say it 3 times in a row differently.
Oh
People don't
wow.
know that. So imagine, let's say 30 pages of lines, and you have to say it 3 times.
All differently.
All differently.
Wow.
And if you fuck up, because everyone fucks up, or they flub a line, or they didn't say it right, or this, that, sometimes you have to do it 6 times.
Now
And by the end of the day, you don't have a voice for 3 days.
oh, you don't have a voice for 3 days after doing this. I don't. When I sit there and I tell this to folks, like sometimes I'll do a live stream, and like I'm super happy when someone comes up with me, so I don't have to do all the talking. But if I get up there and I do the talking, I find I find my voice, since I don't use it very much,
Huh?
that after like 2 or 3 hours, my voice starts to cracking. I can feel it
Yep.
cracking. I can feel it getting sore. I'm
Yep.
not used to. My vocal cords are not used to being used so much, and it hurts. Yeah. So how do you protect your voice? You don't smoke.
No.
You the honey. Use
No,
honey
I'm
or
okay. Like I'll drink, coffee. The recording booths, the studios that I go to are pretty dope. Like their kitchens are amazing. Amazing. Recording studio kitchens are the best. I don't know if you've ever been in one. It
mm-mm.
is out of a Town and Country magazine. Every studio that's video game or anything with commercials or ad agencies, commercials, and video games. Oh, the kitchens are phenomenal. But the hookup is, when I'm in the booth, obviously we take breaks, but the booth there'll be lozenges for us. There'll be throat spray, tea, and on the reg, people will stop and say, "Do you need water? Do you need 5 minutes?" Because it is strenuous on the vocals.
Yeah.
Even just talking.
How long does it usually take to record a part?
It depends. Can take up the 3 hours to bang out a bunch of scenes, and like for World of Warcraft, I was in for a week, so I was in recording for a solid week. But certain video games, we try to plow it out in a couple hours.
Thank you, David, for stopping by. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, I would like to. I would like you, because like I said, I catch the behind the scenes of the, because I watch a lot of DC animated movies and specials and whatnot. And the casting director, the voice director, is a lady named Andrea Romano, and she's legend to me. I would give my eye teeth to sit down and talk to her. She's the best. I mean, she'll get out there and oh, when an animated cartoon can bring you to tears,
Mhm.
then you got yourself a really good voice director who knows her craft. And that's Andrea Romano. I have nothing but the highest respect. And I have another friend of mine who does. He's also big into the gaming. He has a lot of voices too, and that was um, Elias Tafuix, who's done a lot. He's done that game of Call of Duty.
Hmm.
He's done just so many different
Yep.
gaming. Um, yeah, people just go to sleep on that. They don't realize how much acting there really is involved in there.
Hmm.
I think they would be really surprised.
Oh yeah. No, it's I mean, it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
How do you? I mean, is there like a process for you? Like if let's say you're going to work tomorrow on a game, do you have a set routine that you do to prepare yourself for
No.
the? No, you just get rolled out of bed and take a shower and go and see what the day takes you.
Yes.
Okay. That's all right. That's probably one. It was probably one way to handle it. It seems like a lot of folks just have a routine. They get ready and they'll do calisthenics, they'll do yoga or whatever, and then they'll
No.
yeah. What's your favorite game? As you mentioned just a minute ago, you're going to play you're a secret gamer, but what's your
Yeah,
favorite game?
I love Deus Ex. I can play that all the time. That's cracking codes. And just fun, amazing world. Orange Box, which is Half-Life episode 1 and 2, Portal 1 and 2, BioShock, like I said, Call of Duties, Battlefield, and Wolfenstein. I have to get some new ones. I'm still going back on the old school ones. But like I'm also playing Crises, which is sort of old school that I like. And Time Shift, which is right now my favorite right now is Time Shift. To
No,
go
no, no.
back in time a little bit and try to manipulate time and like fight these badasses. So if like let's say a bullet is about to grab me, I'll be able to reverse it and sort of I don't know. It's just sort of it has to do with timing. So I like games with timing and focus.
I'm surprised you mentioned playing MLB the Show or Madden.
I'm sorry.
I'm surprised you didn't say have you ever played the sports games, MLB
Oh,
the Show
not at all. I don't like
or
any of them.
Madden? Oh,
Nope. No, I find sport game on video games to be so boring.
oh my gosh! You know what? I don't really. There's a baseball game I like to play,
Yeah.
but the one game that rules all, and that includes the war gamings, is Madden. I mean, not Madden, but college football.
Oh,
College football. Oh, I'm still missing that.
no. No,
Oh my!
I'm spoiled in that aspect. I'd rather be on the field covering it with my father like I usually do.
Does your father play games too?
No, video games, no.
Oh! I mean, you covering the sports live.
Right.
Oh no, I used to sit there and get the
Right.
video game. I get the new one every Christmas,
Right.
and then on the college football they had what they call dynasty mode. So
Right.
you go in there, you take your favorite team, or you take the worst team possible, and then you build a team, build it so they can win a national championship. And it would take you like 5 or 6 seasons to do that, and it was just like you have to go out there and back then the game was really sort of simplish. Now it's really involved. I think the one thing though about video games that kills me though is that before you would actually go out there and buy the game,
Yeah.
open it up, put the disc in the machine, and then
Yeah.
play. Now you have to get the game, put it in the machine, and then program it.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a pain in the ass. That's a pain in the ass. Everybody's always talking about how and especially if a game's not working, they have to send you a patch or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a glitch in it. That just seems to be a lot of work for
Well, I think
for.
that's why I like my Xbox 360. I just put the disc in and I just play and just, people are also like, "Oh, do you go online?" I'm like, if you think a 15-year-old boy screaming in your ear is fun, you've got to be kidding me. No, when I play games, I just want to peace out.
Right, me too. I don't play. I'll play a friend if he's here. I'll play, but as far
Yeah,
as that,
I
no.
don't even like I don't even like sitting with people playing games. I have to play by myself.
Yeah, I honestly, Alexis, that's how I am too.
Yeah.
I don't mind playing somebody, but I'm much better. And I'm surprised to see how much. I remember the first year I got the college game, and I'm playing as my team, which is San Jose State.
Yeah.
And I get in the game, and I'm frustrated because I'm getting crushed. Right, Navy's like blowing my ass out. I'm sitting there and I'm just cursing away. I'm like, cover somebody, mother. My wife comes down the stairs and says, "Oh my God, what are you? Why? What kind of language is that I'm hearing from you?" I'm like, "Well, I'm coaching. I'm coaching. I'm coaching my team." And she says, "I can hear you upstairs."
Yep.
And you're like just so like, it's like you're like, where did that come from? Because you're not I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know where that's coming from. Because I'm not like that when I'm not playing a game, But I was playing a game, and next thing you know, I'm down by 30 points, and it's just like, and I don't ever quit. I don't quit. I don't think that's yeah, you can quit and whatnot, but I play Dynasty, and that's part of the game. It's like sometimes you lose, sometimes you lose big. So you're sitting there and you're trying to, you're still trying to compete, and you try not to lose by 50, and but at the same time, your quarterback throws for the 6th interception, and you're sitting there going like, I'm just gonna run my fullback the rest of the game and just get out of here with my sanity intact. But those games, now, like I said before, now it's so hard. You have to get a new system. And then what I really loved about the PS system was you used to be able to play like PS5 come out. Great. You could play your PS1 through 4 games on your PS5. I love that because it saves you money.
Sure.
I've seen kids go out there and get the news game. Alexis, they're done with it in 2 days.
Of course, but also you have to remember they now today everyone has an attention span the size of a pea.
Yeah.
You have you should be happy that your kids are doing video games rather than watching 10-second TikTok videos.
Oh God, yeah. I'm horrible at this because I have insomnia really bad at night, and so I don't know where this started from. I don't, my friend Ben, he's got insomnia too.
Yeah.
But we'll sit there and we'll just send each other Instagram reels all night.
No.
Of course, they're all cats too, so that makes it fun. Yeah, 2 grown men trying to make each other laugh by sending cat and corgi videos.
It's a whole other conversation there.
Yes. Do you have pet?
No, I grew up with the Westies, Scottish Terriers. I no longer have pets because I travel quite a bit, and I know people love to travel with their pets. I would do the same, but really, I live out of a suitcase right now. I live in California, but I've been Texas back to New York to San Jose, upstate. God, I don't remember anymore. It's a blur. I travel so much, so that wouldn't be fair to the pet right now. But when time permits, and when I feel a little bit more stable in my life, meaning, not always on the go, I'd probably want 2 dogs. I'd probably want a Westie and a Corgi.
Yeah. Corgi. Everybody wants a Corgi these days.
Corgi.
I got one last question for you before I let you go for the night.
Sure.
But you're going to be the first one. I always ask this question in my written interviews, but you'll be the first one to answer it for my live interviews.
Okay.
Let's say that I'm going to come out to watch you do a new video game voiceover. I'm going to come out and watch you actually work, but I'm a day early, right? So I'm supposed to be there. We're supposed to meet up on Wednesday, but I get here on Tuesday. And so now you're going to play tour guide in your city. Where would you go? Where would we go? What would we do?
Well, it depends where we are. My lifestyle is very
Uh,
different in LA and New York.
let's go with LA.
LA?
Yeah.
I would immediately take you to Fryman Canyon because I like to hike. My lifestyle is very different here in New York. Forget hiking. That doesn't exist. Hiking, it would be Runyon or Fryman. I would take you to probably Starbucks and we'd hop in the car. And I always love to drive around, especially in LA. And I love to people watch and just drive around. Usually I would take my Nikon D5000 and take photos. And then I would take you to probably a few of my restaurants that I frequent at. And pretty much I'm chill. Pretty much that's it. On a good day, I'd probably kidnap you to Malibu. And we'd probably go cruise the PCH once again with my Nikon. And on a good night, I'll take you to a red carpet and we'll schmooze a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah.
Alexis, it's been a real pleasure. I had a lot of fun. I definitely like to do this sometime again soon. It's been, it's just been an absolute hoot. And once again, Augie, we love you, but we love you, and we just want to give you a shout out.
Yes, Augie Duke, who's almost getting there. She's less than I think 3 weeks away.
3 weeks. Our good friend Thomas. Yay, Thomas. And for Sherry Davis. Sherry's such a sweetheart.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, once again, real quick, Amityville Moon was really a real blast. Great set. Everyone got along great. So people that like horror, like fun, like 1980s homage, and werewolves, definitely check it out. It's on streaming sites, platforms, and it is backed by Lionsgate. So I'm very, very a shout out to them. Thank you for taking on us and really believing in us. We really worked hard, all of us, especially during a pandemic. It really knocked us for a loop, but this movie saved many of us personally. As saved me during a very, very difficult time.
I'm glad of that, and my hats off and hearts to everybody who worked on that film.
Yep.
And also Amityville Harvest and Amityville Uprising. We'll be talking to Mike Ferguson here on the 8th, and looking forward to seeing what he has to say about the next installment. But for you, young lady, I'm going to let you go so you can get into that gaming, and I can go downstairs and give the cheetah some zebra, and we'll do that and make some coffee. I'll stay in touch with you for sure, and then when something really fun comes up or whatnot, we'll do this again.
Absolutely, I'll keep you posted, and thank you very much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Sure. Stay right where you're at, and I'm going to go ahead and end this. For the replay, thank you for coming out for the chat, and I will see you tomorrow night at 8:00 when we welcome in Night from the Night Watch Zone. He'll be here, and we'll be talking all things horror. Talk to you soon.